So it's about 9:35. I want to thank you all for being here today to the very first FUNDIT pitch meeting for 2023. This is our Q1 pitch meetings. It's very exciting. It's the first one that I'll be hosting as the new program manager for FUNDIT. So I'm really grateful to everyone who has shown up, to all of our project participants who will be pitching today. It's just exciting to get this up and running again and to start FUNDIT up again. So I think a great way to start would just to be going around and doing some quick introductions, letting everyone know who we all are. I think for the sake of doing this quickly, I can just go around the virtual room and ask a person to unmute and introduce themselves real quick, and then we can move on to the next person. So I'm just going to go by the tiles that I see on my screen here, and we will start with Mayor Jeff Carr.
Good morning, everyone. This is Jeff Carr, the mayor of Eagle Nest. I'm here with, and I'll let the others introduce themselves. And thank you for hearing our presentation.
Mary Berkland, Village of Eagle Nest Administrator.
Jake Mullery, EMS Director for Eagle Nest.
Great, thank you all. Next up, we'll have Marianne Billy.
Hi, good morning, everyone. I'm Marianne Billy with the Indian Pueblo Cultural Center. I'm the Special Projects Manager and working with Mark Thompson and Marvis Bio, who are on the call on getting this entrepreneur complex here on our campus up and running. I'll toss it to Mark.
Thank you, Marianne. I'm Mark Thompson, Vice President of Property Management and Development, and appreciate you all taking the time to hear our presentation today. Marvis?
Hi, Marvis. Can you hear us? All right, well, that's okay. We can go ahead and move on. Mr. Rick Gibson.
Hi, I'm Rick Gibson with Sustainability Partners. I actually work very closely with Ryan Mast, who I'm sure you'll hear more from today, who's based in Albuquerque.
Great, thank you, Rick. And Ryan, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, and good morning, everyone. And Channing, thank you for all your hard work in pulling this together, and appreciate the invitation. Ryan Mast, I'm the state lead for New Mexico for Sustainability Partners. We're a public benefit corporation that utilizes a service model to provide infrastructure support for public entities throughout the country, and in particular for today's purpose, we're very interested in supporting public entities here in New Mexico and achieving their infrastructure needs.
Great, thank you, Ryan, and thank you, Ryan and Rick, for being here today. Let's go to Mr. Brent Westmoreland.
Oh, good morning, everybody. I appreciate the opportunity as well to be here today and make our presentation. My name, once again, is Brent Westmoreland. I'm the Executive Director of the Camino Real Regional Utility Authority, which is in South Central New Mexico, bordering Texas and the country of Mexico. So thank you so much, everybody. Look forward to working with you.
Thank you, Brent. Let's see, Ms. Priscilla Lucero.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Priscilla Lucero, and I'm the director of the Southwest New Mexico Council of Governments. I cover Catch and Grant, Hidalgo, and Luna.
Thank you, Priscilla. Mr. William Finoff.
Hi, good morning, everybody. I'm the chair of the Impact Investing Committee at the Santa Fe Community Foundation, and I'm also we're a member of NIMIC, the New Mexico Impact Investing Collaborative, which does investments in these sorts of projects and programs.
Great, thank you, William, and thank you for being here. Daniel Gutierrez.
Hello all. I'm with the Economic Development Department and Director of the New Mexico Main Street Program. Thanks for having us.
Thank you, Daniel. Appreciate you being here. Ms. Judy Call.
Morning, I'm Judy Kale. I'm the Bureau Chief of the Construction Programs Bureau at the Environment Department. We handle funding for water, wastewater, and solid waste projects.
Great, thank you, Judy. Katrina Vigil.
Good morning, I'm Katrina Vigil, and I'm the State Apprenticeship Director with the New Mexico Department of Workforce Solutions.
Thank you, Katrina. I have Dora, just as Dora on the screen.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Dora Batista with the Southeastern Council of Governments. We cover Chaves, Lee, Eddy, Otero, and Lincoln counties.
Thank you, Dora. Welcome. Tricia Corbus.
Hi, everyone. This is Tricia Corbus. I'm with the U.S. Department of Commerce Economic Development Administration. I work for the Austin Regional Office, but I'm physically located in Albuquerque. I cover New Mexico and the Panhandle of West Texas. Thanks.
Thank you, Tricia, and thank you for being here. Peter Mitchell.
Good morning, everyone. Peter Mitchell. I'm with the Economic Development Department. I'm a regional representative in the north central part of the state, Taos, Rio Arriba, Los Alamos, Santa Fe counties. Nice to be here.
Great, thank you, Peter. Luis Marquez.
Good morning, all. I'm Luis Marquez. I'm one of two regional reps in the southwest corner of the state, covering Catron. I'm trying to do this by memory. Work with me. Socorro, Grant, Catron, Hidalgo, Luna, Doña Ana, and Sierra counties. Nice to be here. Thank you.
Thank you, Luis. TJ Cook.
Good morning, everybody. TJ Cook with CNM Ingenuity. I'm the Executive Director over Entrepreneurship and Investments.
Great, thank you, TJ. Thank you for being here. Next, we have Julia B.
Good morning, Julia Brown. I'm the second regional rep with the New Mexico Economic Development Department in the southwest corner of the state.
Thank you, Julia. Yuri Morales.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Yuridia Morales, and I'm the one and only regional representative for Central New Mexico, covering the Bernalillo, Valencia, and Torrance counties. Great to be here.
Jennifer Myers.
Good morning, Jennifer Myers. I'm the Community Business Rural Development Team Leader. I'll be muting myself. I'm in a conference in the hallway, so I have this great background, but I'm actually in a hallway. So I'll be here for as long as I can be.
Great, thank you, Jennifer. Let's see, we have Carla Moreno.
Good morning, all. Carla Moreno. I am a senior analyst with Avivar Capital, an impact advisor for the state of New Mexico for the SSBCI program.
Wonderful. Thank you for being here, Carla. Appreciate it. Next, we have Carmen Morin.
Hello, good morning, everyone. Carmen Morin. I'm the Bureau Chief with the Community Development Bureau with DFA Local Government Division.
Great, thank you, Carmen, and thank you for being here. Let's see, what do we still have? Mr. Henry Foreman.
Good morning. My name is Henry Foreman. I'm a program director at New Mexico Community Capital. We're excited to expand our footprint in downtown Albuquerque. Thank you.
Great, thank you for being here, Henry. Appreciate it. Next, we have Irino. Sorry, that's all I'm seeing on the tile. Irino. Oh, hi, Aaron. Aaron, you're muted. Aaron, I'm going to come back to you, all right? No worries. This is Aaron Ortigoza, my colleague at Economic Development Department, and the Agricultural Finance Specialist. Thanks, Aaron, for being here. Next, we've got Eric Jahate.
Good morning, Eric Jahati, Statewide Resiliency Coordinator for the New Mexico Economic Development Department.
Thank you, Eric. Felicia.
Hi, good morning. Felicia DePaula. I am the Program Development Specialist with the Economic Development Department, and I also manage the Rural Efficient Business Program.
Wonderful. Thanks, Felicia. Larry Dominguez.
Good morning, Larry Dominguez, New Mexico Department of Agriculture. I'm the Division Director for Industry and Agency Programs.
Wonderful. Thank you for being here, Larry. Appreciate it. Holly Kelly.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Holly Kelly. I'm the Business Development Coordinator at the New Mexico Tourism Department.
Wonderful. Thank you for being here, Holly. Rita.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Rita Veleta, and I am a JEDI coordinator for the Office of Justice, Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion within the Economic Development Department.
Thank you for being here, Rita. And then we have Michelle Riviero.
Morning, everybody. Michelle Rivera from the Higher Education Department, Adult Education Division, and I am the Education Workforce Development System Specialist here.
Great, thank you for being here, Michelle. And next we have Stephen L.
Storage as well as wet and dry packaging.
Hey, my name is Steve Lacey. I'm a project manager with the local government division of DFA, and I work for Carmen Morin. Thank you.
Great. Thank you for being here, Stephen. All right. I think that's everyone on the screen. Why don't we go ahead and introduce the folks that are here in the office today. Why don't we start with you, Ron?
Good morning. My name is Ron Toya. I'm Vice President of Jemez Community Development Corporation, and we'll be making a presentation here a little bit later.
Go ahead.
I'm Dave Melton. I'm the Board Secretary for Jemez Community Development Corporation. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Shawnee Harvey. I am the JEDI Program Manager for the Economic Development Department.
Great, and I am Channing Hoffman. I'm the Funded Program Coordinator and putting all this together. I'm excited to be here for our first meeting. So let's see, the first thing on the agenda to discuss, I just want to go over a couple of just program updates from FUNDIT. As you all know, this is our first actual pitch meeting, so this is very exciting to have put this together. The goal is to have one every quarter for each calendar year, so the next one is going to be in June. We can discuss that at the end of the meeting. The overall format is what I'm going for is a little bit more of just an informal ecosystem of folks who have expertise, knowledge, access to resources to help these economic development projects either get off the ground or complete or to finish up, to get the final financing they need to finish these economic development projects. The type of projects that we work with really span the gamut of anything that is a public economic development project. So this could be infrastructure, this business development, water projects, anything that we can justify as supporting regional and local economic development efforts. And we do try to define that as broadly as possible so that we can work with as many folks as we possibly can. For all of you who are joining, this isn't meant to be an official committee that is going to require lots of extra work. I recognize that this is all of your volunteered time that you're contributing here. So we're really just asking that, you can come to the meetings when you can to give information and access to resources to the projects. And that's really it, just to lend what you can to this whole ecosystem of economic development projects. So before each pitch meeting, I will send out lots of information to everyone on the contact list. So you'll have a chance to review what the projects are, If you feel that it's something that you might be able to help with, I certainly encourage you to join. If you find these meetings interesting, I encourage you to join. If you have other things going on or it's just not in your wheelhouse, that's totally fine too. We're not, taking specific attendance that is required for every meeting. We really want this to be as easygoing and not as onerous as we can possibly make it. So to that end, I would like to just open it up to any questions about the FUNDIT program. I know I already had a few going into this meeting, but now is a great chance for us to discuss what this can be. And if you have any questions about it, I'll open the floor to that.
Shannon, I do have a question. I know you've mentioned that the next FUNDITs will be in person. Is that still the case, or is it still going to be virtual or hybrid?
Yeah, well, the goal is to make them hybrid going forward. I really recognize the value of being able to join online. It just opens up the scope to people who might not be able to travel throughout the state. But we would like to start offering this in person as well. I'm kind of thinking through what that might look like, and I'd love to partner with some folks who might be able to host on a rotating fashion throughout the state of New Mexico. But there'll always be an online option, so it will always be hybrid, just to make sure that we can get as many folks joining as possible. Any other questions? Please just go ahead and unmute yourself if you do have a question. All right, well, seeing none. The other update I wanted to let everyone know is that we do have the new FUNDIT website is fully up and running. It's a great place to see all of the different projects that FUNDIT has been working with in the past and that are coming through in the pipeline. So if you are looking for a particular type of project, if you have a new grant program or some new program that's up and coming and you're looking for specific projects, you can always check out the FUNDIT project marketplace where you can see all of the projects that are coming through. It details the funding requests. It has the contact information for those project leads. And it's a great place to get a sense of what's going on across the state when it comes to public economic development projects. Great. Well, without further ado, I think this is a great time to just get right into the pitches. So in the agenda, we do have the order of pitches first. We're going to start with the Indian Pueblo Cultural Center. Then we will hear from Jemez Enterprises in the Pueblo of Jemez, followed by the Camino Real Regional Utility Authority. And then finally, we'll hear from Eagle Nest and their up-and-coming hospital project. Each presenter will have about 10 to 15 minutes to go over their project, at which point we'll open it up to questions from our panel and essentially have a brainstorming session on what can be done to help these projects move forward. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and we have some. Oh. Gotta get rid of this. Sorry, we're also dealing with the waiting room as I'm doing this. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead.
And if you, I don't know if you have the ability to make somebody co-host, but if you make me co-host, I can let people in as they come in.
And while you're doing that, Channing, I think Paige was missed in the intro. I was kind of late, so I didn't realize it. So can we have Paige do a quick intro?
Of course.
No worries at all. Good morning, everyone. My name is Paige Ryan. I am a new regional rep in Region 2, North Central New Mexico, along with my colleague, Peter Mitchell. And it's really wonderful to be here with all of you. Thank you.
Thank you. And I think we do have a couple of other folks who also joined us. We have Christian Garcia.
Hello, my name's Christian Mateo Garcia. I'm an emergency medicine physician with the University of New Mexico, but also the medical director for Eagle's Nest, New Mexico's EMS service.
Christian.
Okay.
Patricia Dominguez.
It's pretty much like,
Hi, Patricia.
hold on, I think they're kind of up in my hair.
Patricia? There, okay. And we have Shayna joined us as well. You're still muted.
I wasn't sure. My name is Shanna, so I'm like, okay, is there somebody else?
Yeah, sorry, Shanna.
Hi, my name is Shanna, and I am the Rural and Frontier Equity Ombudsman for DFA.
Thank you, Shanna. Appreciate you joining us. All right. So why don't we go ahead and get started? First up, we have the Indian Pueblo Cultural Center, and I will turn the mic over to you all.
Good morning, everybody. Hope you all can hear me. It's quite a crowd here. I got some familiar faces and names here, so I appreciate the opportunity to make this presentation. What we're presenting to you today is the Indian Pueblo Culture Center Entrepreneur Complex. Again, I'm Mark Thompson, Vice President of Property Management and Development. Some project information. Next slide, please. So this project is a construction project in its current state. It's the development of an incubator. And this incubator is really going to be focused on food and agricultural, really the food value chain, including farmers, processors, transporters, wholesalers, retailers. We got a lot of partners initially in our efforts, and Marianne Billy is our special projects manager, and we've been working together to get this set up. But in its current phase, it is a construction project. And we anticipate developing a full campus, a full business incubator campus located here at the Indian Pueblo Culture Center, right in the center of Albuquerque. You can go ahead and go to the next slide. You'll get a better picture of this campus. So right now, we have a phased approach. Our total project is estimated right now at $10 million. That's for the total campus development. Again, it's an incubator where folks can take an idea from to start up and expand it to a mature business. And we're seeing a need there as it relates to the food value chain. And I think some of the past couple of years of what we've experienced through COVID and those challenges has demonstrated that there is an opportunity for us to put a network and resources together to reinforce that network and that value chain as it relates to ag businesses and getting food to our community members. So this is a phased approach. Right now, currently, we do have funding for phase one, which is that commercial kitchen, which is right in the center there. That's a 7,500 square foot commercial kitchen. But this whole project, the campus development, will include parking, a commercial kitchen, broadband access for businesses, cold and dry storage. In our discussion and in the process of developing the feasibility study for this project, we got a lot of feedback that cold storage was a big void. And so we're anticipating and putting some cold storage inside the commercial kitchen, and also separately independent there, you'll see on that campus there, cold storage, a business center where folks can take their idea and establish their business and do those types of things, whether it's internet access, collaboration, meeting places, those types of things are there in that business center too as well. A demonstration garden. We do anticipate having some pilot projects, and we have an availability of some space for a garden too as well. And it really just ends up being an integrated campus on the north side of the cultural center. We can have food trucks, we can have events here too as well. And it's gonna also provide a new access at our campus to Manal. This campus here is really at the corner of 12th Street and Manal, right in Albuquerque at the Culture Center. Next slide, please. So our budget, our total gap here, our total project, we did initially send out our our FUNDIT application with a total project estimated at $8 million. We recently got our bids in for the commercial kitchen, and much like anything else in the state of New Mexico and doing development in this day and age of post-COVID and everything else, and prices are higher. So it was a bit surprising to us, but we've kind of made some adjustments there, and it looks like our total development cost conservatively is going to be $10 million. And right now we do have funding for the commercial kitchen, but we anticipate a business center, cold storage, both at $1 million or a little bit more, road access, construction. That's going to be a big one for us too, for egress and ingress on our campus, landscaping and demo garden renovation of the current buildings that are there. Totally secured right now today, we have $5 million. So we're well on our way. But some of that's the low-hanging fruit. Let's be honest about it. It's what's out there. What can we apply for, and what can we get fairly easily? And we're looking forward to this presentation today and the FUNDIT process and this initiative through FUNDIT to help us with some of the heavy lifting to get to the finish line here. But our gap is $5 million. We still need funding for the parking and the road. We still need funding for cold and dry storage. We still need funding for the business center, landscaping and how we integrate the campus and some of the renovations of our current building there. That really is where the need is at. That's significant for us. Cold and dry storage is an integral part of what we're trying to deliver to the community and these entrepreneurs that are based on agriculture and food-based entrepreneurs. The business center is a critical aspect to that. So we have a significant need there. So that's the gap. The major funding that we've received so far, we do have State of New Mexico capital outlay through the Indian Affairs Department and through Carmen. Hi, Carmen. Carmen and I go way back, so I know Carmen quite well. And we do have capital outlay dollars through the State of New Mexico. We do have Department of Commerce EDA funds. And so I know we work with Lisa Larson. She's leaving. She's at the Austin office. And now we have Rachel Gleason taking her place. And we've met with them and working with them to, they've helped fund the commercial kitchen, and we're about ready to go into construction on that too. We also recently got some HUD, CPF funds, community project funds through HUD. So we've got federal funds, we've got state funds on this. In total, we have approximately $5 million to help us get the commercial kitchen set up and running for us. So that's really what we're looking at, the top level overall budget for this initiative and this project here at the Culture Center. Next slide, please. The current project status. So through 2022, we've raised $5 million. We're just about ready to go into phase 1 commercial kitchen. Again, we got our bids back, and much like a lot of other federal funding, we've had to do a low bid project. And those are a bit of a challenge to do. It's been causing me a little bit of stress, and a lot of us have been around in the business a little bit to know that low bid wage grade projects can be a bit of a challenge, but we're optimistic that we can get this to construction. We're pretty close, and so we're doing a value engineering effort right now with our GCs to be able to get this to groundbreaking. We anticipate being able to get into groundbreaking here in March, and the March 1st of April for the commercial kitchen. In the beginning, from conceptual to now, we've been engaged with the community, and we've met with local folks like Three Sisters, South Valley Economic Development, Intertribal Ag Council, New Mexico Farmers Market Association, and one of our more recent tenants here at the Culture Center at Avanu Plaza is La Montanita Food Co-op. And they're really, we're developing a partnership with them to be able to help foster this entrepreneur environment that we've got here. So we've got a diverse network of partners that we've been working with from the beginning when this idea was conceptualized. So we well on our way to be able to establish that strong network. EDA has approved the construction dollars, and so we're about ready to go into construction now. We anticipate going into construction here in April for the commercial kitchen. Early programming dollars, we've gotten some partners here to be able to help us with some of the initial programming too as well. Next slide. Our project timeline, planning, design, and fundraising is currently ongoing. We've been going since 2019. Again, our commercial kitchen should be going into construction now. Moving forward, and really what we're hoping that this funded initiative will help us tee up some opportunities, point us in the right direction. How can we grow this and finish off the campus development? How can we establish a strong partnerships for sustaining the program and doing those types of things? So those are our major next steps. And even to the extent that we're looking at being able to hire an entrepreneur director, that's currently a vacancy, hiring key staff here. That's open now, and we're interviewing and seeking an entrepreneur director for this campus. But we're also wanting to communicate to all of the participants here on the funded initiative. We do have some capacity, and we wanted to demonstrate that that capacity helps us leverage those of us that, we've all been around a little bit, and demonstrating that you can leverage your dollars is a critical aspect to this funded initiative. And we believe that we've demonstrated that in raising $5 million so far. And we've even got some smaller partners with New Mexico Gas, Fidelity Family Foundation, Albuquerque Community Foundation, Bank of Albuquerque, New Mexico Food Security, HUD, United Way, Burlington Northern, Santa Fe Railway. So we've got some partners that are pretty diverse out there, but we're also looking at setting up a development and a capital campaign. Next slide. And we anticipate using this funded initiative to help us set up this capital campaign going forward, and formally launch the capital campaign here in April. Again, what this does to those of you within the funded initiative, it demonstrates we've got some capacity here to take this project through to completion with your help. We need your help. Again, the funding that we've received so far has been some of the low-hanging fruit, but there's still some heavy lifting to do. And we're anticipating and hoping and being optimistic that this funded initiative and our capital campaign will help us do some of that heavy lifting and get us to the finish line to where we can have a full campus on the north side of the Culture Center to foster the entrepreneurs and establish a strong incubator to be able to help deliver and grow our economy here in Albuquerque, Bernalillo County, but also for tribes within New Mexico. And so that's really where we're at right now. Next slide. I again thank you, and we're here to answer any questions. I hope that was I was told to keep it very short and succinct because I can go on for days on some of this stuff. So I hope I did a good job there and kept it very short. So thank you. We're here to answer questions.
Thank you so much, Mark. That was a great presentation. Really appreciate it. I would love to just open up the floor to any questions for Mark around the project, or any ideas about possibly moving forward. Yes, go ahead, William.
Hi. So the funding you're looking for, are you looking for primarily just grant funding, or are you also entertaining the idea of loans for this project?
I think at this point in time, we'll hear anything. There may be ways that we can, we don't want to close any doors at this point in time, so we'll be receptive to any of those proposals or any of those opportunities to get to the finish line.
Mhm. Yeah, no, I would just say that, you know, given that you actually have a fair amount of grant funding, if you had a plan that looks realistic in terms of revenues that would support loans, then there are probably a fair number of different lending facilities that might be able to help you out with getting your complete capital stack done. NIMIC or the foundation, we do primarily in this space, we do primarily lending or in some cases equity investments, but not as much grant funding directly from NIMIC, although some of our organizations do grants for these kinds of projects. So if you have there's obviously a slightly different structure to looking for loan funding because you need to have it attached to a revenue stream of some sort, but which it isn't completely obvious how that would work in your case, and possibly at its more mature stage, but that would be, one area. And it, for this sort of building projects, particularly if you have a large amount of grant funding already in place, you have collateral, so that part's good. Although it may not be, depending on your organizational structure, the collateralization or use of collateral may not be possible. So anyway, that's my first comment. The other question is, looking at developing an incubator, are you planning on collaborating with any of the other technical assistance organizations that already exist, small business support centers or existing incubators, or are you planning on developing that technical assistance capacity in-house?
Marianne, you want to respond to that one?
Sure. Thanks for your words, William, and also your question. So yes, definitely looking into collaborating and already doing so with some of the local technical assistance providers. In fact, Jake's group, New Mexico Community Capital, we've got some programs kind of already underway with them, as well as South Valley and Rio Grande Economic Development Center, Taos County. We've had some some calls with them, I should say. And so Indigenous Farm Hub. So yeah, that network is pretty, it's ongoing and getting stronger as we speak, and looking to fortify that continually, as well as potentially investigate how we become a state recognized incubator as well. We got to get going a little bit further down the road, but that's definitely on our radar.
Okay, thanks, guys.
Does anyone else? Yes, John Brooks. And please feel free to just jump in.
Hey, Mark, good presentation and information that you gave today on the project at the Culture Center. From the Finance Authority's perspective, we, obviously we, first and foremost, we're a lender, so we can lend easily to the projects and based on the relationship we have with the Culture Center and looking at other projects on behalf of the Culture Center, we think that we could get the infrastructure and building project all done in one fell swoop. It's just a matter of you at the point that you're ready to take on a loan, that we can get that done in the next few months. So that's where we stand with that. you know, which program, I'm not going to speak on which program as of right now, but there's plenty of opportunities at the Finance Authority if that's something you want to discuss further.
Thank you.
Great, thank you, John. We'd love to hear from anyone else. I know there's a strong agricultural aspect to this project.
Hi, Mark, Marianne. This is Erin Ortigosa with New Mexico Economic Development Department, and I am just very happy to see you here. Congratulations on everything that you've already achieved with this project and all the work that you've done in collaboration with the food and agricultural community in the state. The value chain work is unprecedented, the opportunities that we're all investing into. And I have mentioned this before as well, but just to the group right now, I want to make everyone aware of the New Mexico Healthy Food Financing Initiative that is coming online. We are going to be piloting a grant funding opportunity this fiscal year, but looking down the road, and I'm just thinking longer term for some of the other investment potentials as you build out your project. The New Mexico Healthy Food Financing Initiative is really targeting food aggregation projects, processing and distribution projects, including helping hubs meet capacity for working together statewide, as well as developing the technical assistance provisions. So as we bring in more diversified funding options in the New Mexico Healthy Food Financing Initiative, I really look forward to keeping you all in the loop, because I think this project would be directly in line with what we're hoping to see investments achieve in our state, and all of the benefits associated for getting healthy food to folks equitably and supporting the economic opportunities in our value chain. So again, I applaud your efforts, and I really look forward to working with you long term.
Thank you.
Thank you, Erin.
Thank you, Erin. Do we have any other comments or suggestions or connections from the group? All right, and don't forget, this is not the only window of time where these connections can happen. There's going to be recordings of this. I'm going to send out recaps to the entire group. So, as you continue to think about some of these projects, the connection points will continue long after this meeting as well. Great. Well, thank you so much to Mark Thompson and Mary Ann Billy for the presentation. We really appreciate it. And if there's no other comments, questions, or issues to be raised, we can go ahead and move on to the next presentation. You ready? All right. So next up, we have the Small Business Development Center at Jemez, Pueblo. Turn it over to you.
Thanks, Channing. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. My name is Ron Toya. I'm Vice President of the Jemez Community Development Corporation. And with me today is Dave Milton, also on the board, and our board secretary. Our president, Charlotte Garcia, was wanting to be here today, but she has her own business and it's a busy time for her, so she could not make it. Let me go ahead and get started then. Just briefly first, how we got to this juncture here. If someone who's living in Albuquerque wants to start a business, all they have to do, there's quite a few different organizations that can help them. For example, they can go to the Wesset building right there on Lomas and Broadway, and they can get some help there. Or they can go down to Isleta Boulevard and get some help from the Rio Grande Community Development Corporation. If a business is looking for vending space, there's the Albuquerque Collective right there on Eubank. So there's a lot of options if you live in Albuquerque. But if you're a member of Jemez Pueblo or live in the Jemez Valley community, where do you go for help and assistance? Today, we're sending tribal members to Albuquerque or Rio Rancho. That's easily 100 miles round trip every day. And it's just not working. In fact, prospective entrepreneurs get frustrated and they quit, and some don't even start. If we can secure funding for this problem, the answer to where does a tribal member go for assistance will be right here at Jemez Pueblo. So this brings us to today. Just again, briefly, we're the Jemez Community Development Corporation. We're doing business as Jemez Enterprises. We are a Section 17 corporation established by the Secretary of the Interior to be the entity responsible for economic development at Jemez Pueblo. So that's how we're involved with this. Over the years, we've been working with tribal leaders and tribal members, and we ask what is preventing Jemez community members from starting and developing their own business. We've worked with the past three tribal administrations, worked very closely with the governors and the leadership there. And that's slide one. So tribal members need technical business information, just like anybody else does, but they also need a physical space like a West building, a business center to develop their business plans, a business center where business is happening to actually do business work like an incubator, from production to actual sales. And a gathering point, a building can also be a meeting place for like businesses, very similar to what the UNM Rainforest business does for technology. We can do the same thing for arts and crafts or other type of businesses going on reservation. Our plan is to be a magnet for business activity. This is the place where business happens, where tribal members can go to get help with the next step of their business, wherever their business is at. We plan to tailor everything to the individual business needs and do it all right here at Jemez Pueblo. The Pueblo proposes to establish a small business development center, okay? We looked in the community and tried to find adequate space. And we just couldn't find any. We could bring in portable buildings, but you know, those don't, they're expensive and they really don't contribute what we think would be best for the community. We were able to identify the former Jemez Trading Post building that's now vacant. And the Jemez Enterprises proposes to restore and repurpose this historic building, built in the 1930s and operated by a Pueblo member, who was also Governor and Councilman Jack Toya. We plan to repurpose that business into a small business development center. We had put together a restoration, rehabilitation, and innovation plan by a professional architect, put that plan together for us. The building sits right along Highway 4 and also along a new pedestrian path that's being built in the community. The Pueblo has extended fiber to the community, so we have Wi-Fi access. Water and sewer is available at the property line, and electricity is also available. Like I said, we have put together this business plan for the renovation, and this was the budget for this came out to be $200,000 for restoration and rehabilitation. That was 4 years ago. We have worked with the Mass Design Group in Santa Fe to update our budget projections, and they have put together some new budget estimates with supply chain issues and inflation and things like that. The new budget is $300,000. If the project slides into 2024 because of funding cycles, we add another $20,000 to that. That'd be $320,000. The current value of the building that we're going to renovate is estimated at $150,000. We have a commitment of $25,000 for initial operations of the business center once the rehabilitation is completed. One aspect is that we plan to incorporate an internet cafe to be kind of an engaging the community, drawing people in, as well as an opportunity there to sell their products. The income from the cafe will be used for utilities, maintenance, operation costs, and if we have a little left over, for program delivery as well. We really believe this will be a real game changer in our community. Just one footnote, as much as possible and as soon as possible, the Pueblo wants to include our neighboring communities in the Jemez Valley to have access to our training, technical assistance, and all programs put together by the center. Jemez Springs, San Isidro, we've talked about those. We've even talked about including Zia Pueblo. So we impact everybody's economy and they impact our economy as well. It might make sense that we work together on this. So that is our plan. And that is our budget. So where are we at? Well, we've taken this far, about as far as we can. Our project is shovel ready. It's ready for implementation. It's ready to begin renovation. Our plan is to start 90 days after funding is secured, and we anticipate short construction renovation of about 4 months. The issue just right now is finding the funding. Next slide. Next steps. As soon as funding is secured, we want to seek a contractor. We have met twice with Bradbury Stam. They're interested, but they said, hey, come back and see us when you get funding and we'll work out the details. We're going to work with the contractor, finalize any architectural issues that maybe we haven't overlooked at this point. And the Mass Design Group in Santa Fe has offered their assistance to finalize that with us. The construction supply chain, when you do things in rural areas, are concerned. So we'll be addressing that with our contractor and put together a project management plan with them. We have, one important point is that we have kept the ownership of the building it's still in private hands. That ownership can stay in private hands. It can be transferred to the development corporation. It can be transferred to the Pueblo. It depends upon the funding requirements that the funding agencies may require. Some want like New Mexico Main Street, we met with Daniel, they require a public-private partnership, and we will retain, we'll see how the ownership will work out if we go in that direction. And then we'll clear all administrative issues that the tribe may have, from permitting to water and sewer hookups and any other administrative problems they may have. As I indicated, we have been working closely with the last 3 administrations, and we don't see any roadblocks at this time. So next slide. So that's who we are. That's how to get a hold of us. All that is keeping us from having a viable small business center at Jemez Pueblo is $300,000. So we're very optimistic. We're anxious. We have a plan that's ready to go, and we can get pointed in the right direction and get some funding. I think we can make some real progress that will be a real game changer for the community as well. Thank you very much for your time. Be glad to answer any questions.
Thank you so much for that presentation. We'll go ahead and open it up to the group.
Hi, this is Patricia Dominguez with USDA Rural Development. I think we have a couple of programs that could potentially be useful to you. I'm going to put my email and number in the chat. And if you just email me, I'll set up something with our community facilities and our BNI folks. And I think it would be beneficial if we all talked.
That's great. Thank you very much.
Perfect. Thank you, Patricia. And I'll make sure that all the contact information gets shared appropriately as well. Great, just to make sure.
Hi there, this is Carla Moreno from Avivar Capital. Avivar, as well as supporting the EDD with the SSBCI program, we also serve as an investment advisor to the New Mexico Impact Investing Collaborative, which Santa Fe Community Foundation, William, he's also on this call, is a part of. And I think this could be an interesting opportunity to bring to the collaborative. One question for you is, are you open for that 300,000 to loans, equity, or are you looking for grant funding? What or a combination? Have you thought about that?
Well, we're open to just about anything right now. The internet cafe, in theory, could become an income source. If you're talking about a loan, there's really no way we have to pay back that loan unless we have used income stream. We're trying to, incubators, for example, you can charge businesses and make money, if you will, but we don't want to do that. We don't want to hamstring businesses with another charge. We're really here to help them. So trying to identify an income stream to pay back a loan is difficult, but not out of the question. If we can get what I call the first domino going, I think a lot of this will fall into place. There's so many programs that you hear about today. I just don't know. We're frustrated in trying to find access to these programs. So from when the State Economic Development of Channing gave us this opportunity to give our needs to a lot of people, we think we might be able to patch together a network of funding to get this going. Not to put down $300,000 is not something you sneeze at, but it's really not a whole lot of money for a lot of the other projects that are out there that'll have an impact, but we think we'll have. So I know that's a long answer to your question, but no, we're open. We just don't know if we can be able to patch it together.
Thank you. We'll be following up.
I appreciate that. Looking forward to following up with you.
Okay, thank you, Carla.
Hi, this is John Brooks with the Finance Authority, New Mexico Finance Authority. And again, if you exhaust all those resources, you can turn to the Finance Authority and we could take a look at the project and see how we can help out. I think, we do have funds available, but, they're all loan funds and I'm going to suggest you get all the grants that you can first, and then we can fill in the capital stack.
Great, John, I appreciate that. We're business people. We're, not just looking for a handout. We'd like to fund this thing and have a revenue stream and make it work, but sometimes you need to have a seed money or something to get going. And as I stated, we talk about getting that first domino so we can get a grant or something to get it off the ground. Then we might have some income come in from the cafe or some other sources. So a loan is not out of the question, and I appreciate your comments, John.
Yeah, and and this is another great project, and especially for the community of the Jemez Pueblo, and so we would support this project.
Thank you.
This is William Finoff. I had one question and possible suggestion. The one question is if you wanted the Pueblo to take ownership or the corporation to take ownership, that would involve buying the property from the current owners, and then that would then raise your total capital request to what, 450? Did I understand that correctly?
No, regardless of who owns the building, it's going to be part of the project. There's nobody's going to be buying or selling the building to anybody. If they do, it'll be for $1 just to get the legal aspects in place. And the reason it hasn't been done so far, as I mentioned, because some programs want a joint public-private partnership. And so if we go that route, then we've got the building in private hands. I anticipate that building will go either to the tribe or to the development corporation as just a $1 transfer to make it legal. So that's, the project is $300,000.
Yeah, okay, well, so that's helpful. I would say, you know, from what I've heard, I think it might be easier. There are probably more programs that would be available if it is owned either by the development corporation or the tribe than if it's a mix, but I could be wrong about that. The other question I had is whether you have approached any of the legislators in their capital outlay funding, such as we've seen in the previous the Pueblo Cultural Center project. They were managing to get some capital outlay funding for that. Have you approached anybody on any of the legislatures to see if they might be interested in using some of their capital outlay funding for this?
Well, not specifically. We have our state senator from Jemez, Benny Shendo, is, as you know, highly, he's chairman of, I think, the appropriation committee or the budget committee, one of those. So he's aware of this project, but we have not pushed him on this project yet. In all honesty, there are a lot of projects that are demanding not just his attention, but the capital outlay system. And another thing that has come up is that since COVID, we were making good progress, and then COVID hit, and so we have really kind of shut down for about over 2.5 years. And during that time, other projects have popped up for capital funding, capital outlay funding, and ours has just not risen to that. We haven't pushed that envelope yet. The other statement that you made, Bill, was about ownership. Yes, we're almost certain that ownership will be transferred either to the development corporation or to the tribe and get out of private hands. We just don't know which one it's going to go to. There's advantages to both. For example, if the IRS, under IRS laws, if an individual wants to donate money to like this project, for example, they couldn't, IRS will not allow them to use a tax deduction if it goes to a development corporation, but they would if it would go to the tribe. So that's why that has not been finalized yet. As soon as we work with the funding sources, then we'll finalize the business ownership.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So hi, this is Trisha Corbis with the EDA. So I think this is probably a good opportunity, a good fit maybe with EDA. And because the Pueblo ultimately was impacted in some form or fashion with regards to the wildfires, it's possible this could fall under our disaster money that is coming to our office, which is quite substantial for New Mexico. So I'm going to put my name in the chat and email, and I suggest that we connect sooner than later and possibly get you teed up for some funding.
Trisha, that would be great. We'll follow up with you. Appreciate that.
All right, thank you everyone who has offered advice and resources. Are there any other comments or questions about the Jemez Business Development Center?
I thank you so very much for listening to us and taking your time and expertise. I know you have a lot of other things to do, and we appreciate picking your brain on this. We will follow up. I'll get the information from Channing, and I'll be myself and David and Charlotte will be following up. And I thank you very much for your time. Appreciate it.
Great. Thank you so much, Ron and Dave, for your presentation. We appreciate it. Great. Now we can go ahead and move on to our next presenter. I will pass it over to the Camino Regional Utility Authority.
Good morning, everyone. Appreciate the opportunity to be here. Along with me this morning is Juan Crosby, the Assistant Executive Director here, and a special shout out to Louise Marcus and Julia Brown. Nice to hear from both of you. Ladies and gentlemen, this project, as it's stated, is proposed to be located at the Santa Teresa border crossing, and it is it's very important for continued economic development, as well as guaranteeing fire flow to the existing industries and the international port of entry, even at times when the electricity it goes out, if you will. It will allow us to continue to provide fire protection during those situations, which, believe it or not, happens on occasion in our region. Nonetheless, it is once again, as depicted on the slide, located at 6700 by National Avenue, which is within eye shot of the port of entry and about 200 yards away from the international border itself. Next slide, please. It is proposed to be a 1 million gallon elevated tank. And as I stated earlier, adequate fire flow, increased storage capacity to attract additional economic development. And the cost of this has gone from approximately 5 million to 7 million post-COVID, given the supply chain and the inflationary cost of steel, concrete, etc. This tank could potentially be started in the first quarter of 2024. It would take approximately 9 months to build it. Infrastructure for water and expansion for needed growth and fire flow. CRUA has acquired the site for this and has the wells in place to fill the tank, as well as the booster site pumps to pump the water up into the elevated tank. Next slide, please. Once again, a major cost of $7 million. We're building something very similar to this up in the Santa Teresa Industrial Park, and it too has gone up. A 1 million gallon proposed tank gone up by $2 million over post-COVID. So it's not a phased project. We kind of either do it or we don't. The tank in anticipation of some questions, the tank at the Santa Teresa has been industrial park has been applied for from SAP money, which we've been lucky enough to obtain some of that. And this tank, yet we have only acquired sites. We've done the majority part of the design for it, etc. So this is kind of the final numbers that we need to make this come to fruition. Next slide, please. Construction approximately 9 months, starting once again in first quarter of 2024. Funding for construction is the remaining next major step necessary. Next slide. That's it for my presentation. It's considerably short, but I know that the New Mexico Economic Development Department is very aware of the potential for continued growth at the international border crossing at Santa Teresa, and have also recognized the importance and need for this. So along with their help, and also the Border Authority is partnering on various projects associated with increasing and developing CRUA's infrastructure. we're experiencing growing pains, I think, like all entities such as utilities in growing areas, and we're trying to stay ahead of the 8 ball, if you will, rather than playing catch up. So with this tank in place, it would give us many years of capacity to satisfy additional economic development. With that, I would stand for questions.
Thank you, Brent, for that presentation. We much appreciate it. We'll open the floor to any comments or questions.
Hi, this is Louise Marcus. I do want to speak just briefly to this. I do have the privilege and the honor of working with Mr. Westmoreland and Mr. Crosby with CRUA, the Camino Regional Utility Authority. And I just want to add, for the folks who are not on the southern end of the state here, what an economic driver the Santa Teresa Port of Entry area is for the entire state. So the importance of this really can't be overstated. This is a very valuable project now and going forward just the next 10 years. This is an important project. So thank you.
Yes, Ryan.
Yeah, good morning. And Director Westmoreland, really pleasure to make your acquaintance and appreciate the presentation. I actually had the pleasure of spending some time with Mr. Mario Juarez Infante last December, and we took a tour of Sunland Park, and we're discussing some of the capacity needs there for continued economic growth and looking at several different components of that. This project actually aligns very well with our model and the services we provide, because a water utility, wastewater infrastructure is actually quite a significant and important component of our portfolio across the country, and already here in New Mexico, we're seeing a lot of interest in this. In fact, some of the projects we're engaged in right now, one under construction out in Roosevelt County, is particularly around water capacity. So we would be very interested in discussing this with you. We could provide all the upfront capital that you need to make this project a reality, and we can work with you to determine how to align this with revenue streams over time. The benefit of working with us is not just the capital for the construction of it, but also the maintenance and reliability of this over a long term. I mean, that's really a critical component for water and any utility here. And so we would find this to be a very worthy and exciting project for us to be involved in. And happy to have a conversation with you. The other thing is because of our service model, we work on a month-to-month payment process. So as such, you're not locked into any sort of long-term terms on this. So as you see continued growth and or other needs, we have a lot of flexibility built into our model. So happy to have a conversation and learn a little bit more. I see you're already in a fair amount of design on this, and so we can have our team take a peek at that if you're interested and help understand the project a little bit more.
I would appreciate that very much. My contact information, as you can see, is there on the screen. So please reach out to me, and we'll pick up where we left off here.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian.
Have the address listed. I was trying to see, this is Patricia from Art Rural Development, to see if this area would fall within our population numbers. I think it was like the first slide.
Forgive me, I didn't quite get that. There's some interference in that. Could you restate that for me, please?
I just needed this address. Thank you. 67 by National Avenue.
She's looking at the population.
Oh, okay. Population numbers, as it relates to that particular area, it is an industrial area and a port of entry. There are no residential development at that location. The residential development is primarily taking place within the city limits of Sunland Park. At this point, between Sunland Park and Santa Teresa, there are approximately 23,000 plus residents. At the border crossing now, there are approximately 25 to 30 industrial and commercial developments and as I stated earlier, the port of entry.
Teresa is own community, or is it unincorporated and part of the larger county?
This particular area is part of Doñana County. It is unincorporated.
So you might be knocked out of the population of 10,000.
I'm sorry, I couldn't make that out.
Oh, I'm having issues here. Our population limit is 10,000, so I think you were probably knocked out of our particular funding stream, unfortunately.
I see.
Hey Brent, this is John Brooks from the Finance Authority. As you know, we've worked with Camino Real on several projects, and we still have more funds available through the drinking water state revolving fund, and also I believe this project could potentially qualify for water trust board. So I think that there's those funding opportunities available for water infrastructure, and I know that with the built money, the funding for a grant loan component has been available, and the grant proportions are pretty favorable. So
yes, I appreciate that, Mr. Brooks.
Yep.
Yes, we're participating with you now in a project building an arsenic treatment removal plant, and in the same location.
Okay.
So.
Do we have any other comments or questions for Mr. Brent Westmoreland? All right, hearing none, I want to thank you, Brent, for that presentation. We really appreciate it. And yeah, we'll follow up after the meeting with all the connections that have been made. Thank you again.
Thank you all very much. Thank you. Appreciate the opportunity.
All right, and now we can go ahead and move on to our last presenter. Here we have the folks from Eagle Nest with the Village of Eagle Nest Hospital Project. I will turn it over to you all.
Good morning, New Mexico FUNDIT team and honorable guests. Thank you all so much for taking time to learn more about the Moreno Valley Healthcare Vision Project. Next slide, please. Next slide. Thank you. So healthcare is a basic human right that is distributed unequally throughout the nation. Back to intent, please. There might be a little bit of a delay, so. Fantastic. So as Seneca has said, wherever there is a human being, there is an opportunity for kindness, and that includes our rural communities. In order to increase access to safe and adequate care in our rural community, this project is seeking funds for a small 2 to 5 bed critical access hospital, workforce housing, and childcare. In addition to providing the community with a clinic and basic care such as a pharmacy, imaging services, and behavioral health, placing an emergency room that is central to the Moreno Valley will reduce ambulance transport times, which will allow crews to go back in service more quickly and improve patient outcomes for those in need of immediate care. Not only will this project be a means to increasing healthcare access in the region, it will also be a harbinger for more workforce housing and increased economic and education opportunities. Next slide, please. So this project might present as a cornucopia of elements. However, each element is interdependent. A hospital for healthcare, housing for staff, and childcare so that the staff can provide for those in need. Our project is projected to take 4 years and includes the planning, design, and construction of the hospital and housing facilities. We expect this project to cost between $60 to $75 million. Now, in the packets that everyone has received, our request was for $34 million. However, that was for the hospital cost alone, and the scope of the project has since expanded. Next slide, please. As a team, we have connected with several local, state, and federal entities regarding infrastructure, and the Village of Eagle Nest will be able to support the increased in demand for infrastructure. To accomplish this, the Village of Eagle Nest will utilize the funding sources shown, such as CDBG, to address infrastructure needs. I know there's a lot of information on these slides, and we'd be happy to email it to anyone interested at the end. But for the sake of just moving through the slides, next slide, please. As stated earlier, there are 3 components to this project: healthcare, workforce housing, and childcare. This slide highlights some of the gaps in services that funding will help resolve. Imagine a quick scenario with me, if you will. You are a new parent and your toddler grabs hold of a knife and cuts themselves deeply. Your child is crying in pain and you don't know what to do, so you call 911. The dispatcher informs you that the nearest ambulance is 40 minutes away because the few local EMS crews responded to a head-on car crash on the Snowy Mountain Pass, and they will not be back in service for at least another 2 hours. Do you drive the hour in snowy weather on your own, or do you wait for the ambulance? This is a very real possibility in rural New Mexico, and having a local emergency room will not only bring peace of mind to our community, but it will also give ambulances somewhere nearby to transport patients, which will allow them to return to service much more quickly. Next slide, please. So as a team of stakeholders, we envision a facility that serves the community based on their needs. That is why we've taken time to publish surveys, host town halls, establish a media presence, and connect with local governments to do our best to develop a shared vision. Now, the next slide is what everyone's here is for, and that is the budget. So we are still in the research phase regarding specific quotes. However, we have connected with the CEOs of critical access hospitals in New Mexico and neighboring states, local engineers, and have done our own research to come up with the figures expressed. Currently, we do not have any funding sources secured, but we do have much of the land for the housing and childcare components already in our possession. Additionally, our experience at the Roundhouse last month indicated to us that there is a significant amount of interest in expanding healthcare resources in rural communities, so much so that the Senate Bill 7 was passed on March 1st, and that Senate bill is titled the Rural Healthcare Delivery Fund. Next slide, please. So additional healthcare has been recognized as a need in the area since 2016, where the Village of Eagle Nest first produced it on their infrastructure capital improvement plan. But the community working group, as it is now, and the current scope of work was realized in September of last year. So over the last 6 or so months, we have been soliciting the public's opinion and connecting with governmental and private entities. We have received written support for the project from Senator Pete Campos, Representative Sanchez, the Colfax County Board of Commissioners, Mayor Linda Calhoun of Red River, the Red River Ski Area, Angel Fire Resort, and the CEOs of Taos Holy Cross Hospital and the South Central Colfax County Special Hospital District. Oof, that one's a mouthful. We've also communicated with Miners Colfax, and those are the 2 nearest hospitals to where we are, and they're supportive of the project. We've just not received their written support yet. Next slide, please. So as you can see, Eagle Nest serves as a central location between Red River, Angel Fire, and Cimarron. Our region is home to thousands of tourists 8 out of 12 months in the year who come to the area to ski, hike, and fish, among other things. The seasonal population blooms, in addition to an aging population, has the potential to overwhelm the current healthcare system in the area. So with that in tow, sort of in our immediate area between Eagle Nest and Angel Fire, we have about 3 to 4 ambulances available at any one time. And if there is that head-on car crash and there's 3 patients, many of those resources will be pulled out of the valley immediately and won't be back in service for at least 3 hours. Next slide, please. Moving forward, we see ourselves formally starting this project in fall of this year. This is not a means of diminishing the last 6 months of work, but without funding, this vision is no more than a dream. After securing funds for phase 1, we will first acquire the land and jump into our surveys and studies. As phase 1 is underway, research into phase 2 will begin so that there can be a smooth transition into the design. Following the design of the project, construction will begin, marking the start of phase 3. Next slide, please. So a big thank you, and thank you so much for taking the time to learn more about our project. If you would all like a copy of this PowerPoint presentation or any other information that we have put together, please feel free to reach out to Mary Bergland at the contact info on this page. And now we would like to open the floor to any questions you might have.
Can you please move to the slide with the budget again? Thank you.
Oh, I do. This is Priscilla with Council of Governments. I do have a recommendation for you at this point. So currently I've been working on the congressional direct spending. So and you've got a pretty immediate deadline. It's not complicated, but I would certainly reach out to Senator Lujan's staff in your area. Those congressional direct spending requests are due, I believe, March 16th, which is next week. And I do believe that healthcare is one of his greatest initiatives. So you might want to reach out to them just to kind of get an idea of what dollar amount you should be requesting. But typically what I see in congressional requests, that's what I'm saying, anywhere between $1 million to $2 million, with $2 million being the cap. But it might help you with some of the phase 2 pieces. So that would be one of my recommendations to you. You could reach out to the others, but I think each congressman has their area of where they like to put their dollars. So maybe you can reach out to the others, but just knowing what I've been working on in the last few days, that might be something of benefit that you could move on immediately.
Thank you so much.
Hi, this is William Finoff, and if it were me doing this, I would first go after a planning grant, for example, from the legislators, that might be a planning and initial, up to a fairly high level detailed plan. You get funding for that in the $1 million to $2 million. You could probably do a pretty decent job with that. And then I would also suggest breaking up the different components of this project and doing those in stages. For example, start with the healthcare, then go to the childcare, and then go to the housing. Because I think you're going to find that different groups and government agencies tend to be focused on one of those elements as opposed to on, a one large project. You do the planning basically for all 3 at the same time, but then say that you're phasing those each, then you go after each, getting the funding for each of the things. I think you'll have an easier time than trying to get it all in one fell swoop from one organization, unless you're just looking at it in a pure loan. You'll have a harder time getting grant funding, I think. you know, if you're just looking for loan funding for this, then you know, it will not, you can go to the CFA or our good CFA representative, I'm sure would be happy to talk about the loan if you have the revenue for it. But even the lending side of things is a lot easier if you can get some portion as grant funding. And it will be, I think, a lot easier to get, you know, at least some portion grant funded on the individual components once you have a master plan in place. So if I was doing it, that's how I'd approach it.
Thank you for your insight, Mr. Pinoff.
This is Patricia Dominguez with the Rural Development. You already had us listed as one of the groups you were going to reach out to, but you were definitely within our population range and rural in character. So, you know, be interested in, you know, connecting with you so we can see where we could help. And I suspect we can help in several places here. So.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Dominguez.
Hi, this is Tricia Corbis with the Economic Development Administration. I think there's a possible opportunity for some EDA grant funding. It would have to be in these preliminary stages, and I imagine it would be through the disaster supplemental money that is coming to our agency soon. Obviously, you qualify, the Colfax County region qualifies under DR 4652. And so you're eligible for our disaster recovery funds. We would have to talk about what the project looks like and how it associates with, you know, disaster recovery. But, you know, I think if the hospital is interested in, you know, assessing the preparedness of the hospital and managing disasters in emergency situations, for example, there's your alignment with our funding. So I would definitely put that as part of maybe your plan in your planning documents. And so I think that we can help at least with maybe the beginning stages of this. And the reason why I say beginning stages and maybe not so much the AE fees or the construction costs is that this disaster money is going to go quickly. That's the intent of the disaster supplementals. It needs to get out the door fast because it was a disaster and the communities need it now. So we're looking at having a majority of the funds that we receive in projects basically obligated in our system by the end of the calendar year. But our conversation needs to happen sooner than later. So what I'll do is EDA works closely with our councils of governments throughout the state. And so I'll get a hold of Monica Beta at North Central New Mexico Economic Development District, and we'll get the conversation going through the Council of Governments, if that sounds okay.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Corbis.
So this is Ryan Mass with Sustainability Partners. I would echo some of the sentiments of some of the previous comments. I have a strong background actually in emergency management and recovery, and so certainly appreciate Tricia's comments on taking advantage of those funds, especially on the planning side to get that. From our perspective, we don't get involved too much on the early stages in the planning side, but we might be someone to keep in mind for completing a capital stack down the line. You know, we would be non-debt financing, so could potentially be a good way to complete the capital stack on certain costs associated with this. We have a lot of experience on the hospital sector, actually, including the head of our asset underwriting used to be the director of engineering at Banner Health, so know a lot about putting together healthcare centers and hospitals and the infrastructure needed to put those together. You know, I would say you can consider us for a lot of the mechanical pieces to this, including central plant cost, even some of the durable equipment, which can, depending on the level of trauma center. And maybe that's a question. I wasn't sure if you've gotten that far on the feasibility side to understand what trauma level is necessary and or most beneficial for the planning side of this. But noting what those are and what types of equipment you might need to get as you do your studies, would be particularly interested. So happy to connect and even share with you more about what we can support early in the phase, just so that you're aware of that. So as you get into through the initial planning and feasibility stages to that, you can keep us in mind for how we can help make this a reality, because we certainly find this a very not just necessary but exciting project, and we would love to be part of it if we could.
Great.
Thank you, Mr. Mass.
And Ryan, could you put your contact information in the chat, and then I can reach out to you as well?
Yeah, happy to.
Thank you.
Hi, this is John Brooks from New Mexico Finance Authority. So I just wanted to cover a couple things. So for planning documents and from a local government perspective, we do have the local government planning fund, and that fund could fund up to a $50,000 grant for planning purposes. And so we do have folks that could take a look and help you out with that application and how you can put a planning document together and for the grant. In addition to that, again, for example, we worked with Hidalgo County and putting together, something similar in regards to this type of facility, and we could do something from the Finance Authority side after the planning document is put together. That would, it definitely would be a loan. Depending on the program, it could have some principal and interest forgiveness on it. So, keep us in the loop, and we'll glad to work with you guys through the process.
Thank you so much, Mr. Brooks. Question. Okay. What?
Any other comments or questions about the Eagle Nest Hospital project?
Oh, this is Michelle Rivera from the Higher Education Department. And while I don't think I have anything substantial to contribute on the funding stream side here, I will for the first two project pitches. I'll follow up post facto. But for this one, just on a more personal note, I have to say you clearly demonstrated the need via data, and I applaud your storytelling. You had me at hello with that. And on a personal note, my husband, Dr. Stephen Cheshire, had a major left hemisphere ischemic stroke back in 2018. And thankfully, there was an EMS dispatch ambulance literally 2 blocks away from him in Los Lunas, New Mexico, and got him to the hospital in time and saved his life. He's permanently disabled both physically and cognitively. But had he lived in this area, we would have lost him. And my heart goes out to anybody that's ever been in a situation, anything like the kind that you described. And so really hope this gets funded and up quickly.
Well, thank you, Ms. Ribeiro, and thank you for sharing your personal story, but also just to higher education. The hope is to also, it's my personal opinion that hospitals are a place of learning, not only through education and higher learning, but also for personal growth. And we hope that this is more of a community project that lifts the quality of life and enriches the experience of a lifetime through both providing rotation opportunities in a beautiful natural environment for physicians or nursing students, in addition to creating a community practice of care that recognizes the patient as more than their disease, but as a human. So we want this to be a real community partnership in addition to a partnership with local higher centers of learning to bring aspiring physicians, nurses, EMTs through for rotation.
Outstanding. Thank you for pointing out that intersection. Appreciate it.
Hello, this is Steve Lacey from the Local Government Division, Project Manager. And so I had to step away for a second, but did anybody cover CDBG in this discussion, in particular to Eagle Nest?
We did mention it as a potential application. I think what we'll have to do, the village right now through the initial survey does not qualify currently like we used to when I applied with you before. But countywide, I think we will qualify. So we are a large section of the county, and that's the direction we're looking.
So the reason why I'm asking is I just looked up your low to moderate income number on the new HUD mapping software, and you came in at 56.6, I think, 56 something. And so you have to be greater than 51. So that was good news. So that kind of opens up planning grants and infrastructure. And by the way, you guys have like one of the best project managers in the state working with you, Donna Stewart, and she can help you. And I mean, as long as you're above 51%, then you're open to CDBG applications. And that was a good number. And just the last thing I'll say is anytime we see Trish Corbis and EDA in a project, we always get excited because our two programs work together so nicely and we work very well with her. So very exciting project, but think CDBG. And you know what? One thing that a lot of people don't know is that you could combine with the county. So say that right now we can give $750,000. If you did a joint application with the county, you could get 1.5 million. And that certainly goes a lot farther nowadays than it did before. So
very good. Could we do the 750 for the village for the project and then the $50,000 planning grant as well? And then the county do those 750?
Absolutely. So yeah, you as an entity can have up to 3 CDBGs, 1 economic development, 1 infrastructure, and 1 planning. So it just depends on the type of CDBG you have. You can't have 2 economic developments or 2 infrastructures, but you could have one of the 3 different types. So there's a number of people that do that now. The town of Taos does it, and San Miguel County all have 3.
Excellent. Thank you, Stephen. Appreciate it.
Oh yeah, and then you get the synergies. You know, once you guys get into the CDBG business, we get new money every year. And the chances are with the strangeness of construction and all that, it'll be a 2-year project, but there'll be money there in 2 years, hopefully, unless the country has major problems. And so you guys have a reputation for being pretty good at CDBG. And so just leverage that forever. I mean, this is a great project. It's a big dollar thing. It's easy to break into phases, which match what CDBG does. You've got good backers like EDA who are interested. So it's got winter written all over it. Plus you're above 51% low to moderate income. So there you go.
Oh, thank you.
Winter written all over. I like that.
Thank you so very much.
Oh, my pleasure.
Do we have any other questions or comments for the folks from Eagle Nest? Well, hearing none, I want to thank you so much for that presentation. That was really great, very in-depth, and it's much appreciated.
Thank you for the platform to be able to present.
Okay.
Great. Well, thank you, everyone. That wraps up the presentation portion of the fund meeting. I know I had on the agenda any other program updates from all of our, from the group, from everyone who's participating. So I'm happy to briefly open up the floor to any other updates from the departments or programs that you all work with. we'll keep that open for just a few moments.
Hi there, one question. So we will receive a recording of this presentation as well as just again, like the summary of the names, maybe a copy of the deck as well.
Absolutely. So this whole meeting's recorded. I'm going to host the recording of this on the Funded website, and I'll share out the link to that to everyone. I'm also going to put together a debriefing for each of the project participants with all of the contact information and everything that was discussed here as a wrap up and as a way to guide the next steps and to make sure that all the connections that happened here continue into the project development portions of this.
Okay, and we could expect that by the end of this week, next week?
Within the next couple of days. I'm hoping to send this out by tomorrow.
Okay, perfect. I look forward to seeing it. Thank you.
Sure thing.
Just a quick follow-up to that, Jenning, if in addition, if you weren't planning on it, if you could send the 4 pitch slide decks in their entirety along with that separately, that would be, I think, very helpful, at least for me.
Absolutely. I will certainly send out all of the pitch decks to the entire group.
Thanks.
So this is Trisha Corbis with the EDA. I'll offer up a quick funding update. I mentioned a couple times some disaster supplemental funding that's coming to EDA. I'd like to be more clear on that funding. So the EDA as an agency nationwide, through the fiscal year 2023 appropriations, we received $500 million for disasters that occurred between 2021 and 2022. New Mexico falls under the Austin Regional Office. Austin Regional Office covers New Mexico, Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, and Louisiana. And so we do not know how much of that 500 million is going to the Austin Regional Office just yet, but we do know money is coming. And so we do know that EDA disaster funding will be injected into the New Mexico area as well. And the counties and the areas that are eligible for this funding must fall under DR 4652 with the wildfires and subsequent flooding. Those counties include Colfax County, Mora County, San Miguel County, Los Alamos County, Sandoval County, Valencia County, and Lincoln County. So those are the counties that are eligible for this funding. If you have a potential economic development related project that you're interested in getting funded, the mantra for this disaster money is that all roads lead to the COG. So please reach out to either the North Central New Mexico Economic Development District, the Mid-Region Council of Governments, or the Southeastern New Mexico Council of Governments. And for everyone else who falls outside of this disaster area, we still do have regular appropriation money available. And the mantra still is all roads lead to the COG, right? So whichever region your project or potential project, I should say, falls under, if you're interested, you can reach out to me, or certainly EDA's champions out in the field, which are all of the councils of governments, the 7 throughout the state of New Mexico. That's it from me. Thank you.
Thank you, Trisha. The floor is still open to any other updates from any of our participating funded members.
This is Ryan Mass with Sustainability Partners. I think I would just take a couple minutes just to, again, thank you, Channing, and all the folks at EDD on their support for this, but particularly all the efforts that you put into pulling this together. We appreciate the invitation. I would just offer that, I recognize that we're still relatively new in what people traditionally think of in their capital stack or their financing or funding options for the state of New Mexico. But we are very interested in not supplanting anything here, but really supplementing and trying to help communities across the state really achieve their needs. I mean, we heard several times today that as these projects grow legs and get lengthier in time, then the cost escalations actually sometimes put these projects out of reach, right? So, we're